All right, great. Well, it looks like we're going to be beginning our final round of the day. Congratulations on everybody making it this far. Fantastic. For those of you who have not been here the whole time, everybody here has debated in at least 4 rounds at this point. We've had 5 rounds leading up to this final round. Everybody here made it through the semifinals, so we're looking forward to seeing how this final debate turns out. The resolution for today is U.S. public schools should not reopen for in-person teaching until a vaccine for SARS-CoV-2 is broadly available. SARS-CoV-2 denoting the coronavirus that has ravaged our civilizations and lives over the last several months. Do we have any questions before this round begins? All right, your judges are Drishti Sachdeva, Emma Waite, and Grayson Sumpter, three esteemed debaters from the SMU debate team. None of these judges have seen any of the rounds so far today, so they're coming into this cold. They haven't seen you guys debating yet, so you are starting with a fresh start. We have 4 minutes on the clock. Julia, I'd like to quickly ask you how we're selecting who is debating which side in this particular debate.
The side has already been chosen. It's the reverse of what they did, and it's on the email I sent out. Did you guys note that? Okay, so they may still need to flip a coin for.
All right, so do we have who is going? So Sharon and Sunny, what side are you on?
We're con.
All right, Sharon and Sunny are con. That makes Aahyan, Dhruv, and Neil on the pro. Very exciting. And then we're going to flip a coin to determine speaking order. So why don't we, who here has not chosen a coin flip yet? All right, Dhruv, I saw your hand go up first. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Hey, Siri, flip a coin.
Heads.
All right, so I guess this is going to Sharon and Sunny. Would you like to speak first or second?
Second, please.
All right, Sharon and Sunny are speaking second. Let me just make a note of that. And we're going to look just over the resolution one more time. Resolution is U.S. public schools should not reopen for in-person teaching until a vaccine for SARS-CoV-2 is broadly available. So our first debaters are going to be Aahyan, Dhruv, and Neil speaking on the pro. You have 4 minutes for your constructive when you're ready.
My name is Dhruv Paul, and I'm speaking on the pro side of the resolution. U.S. public schools should not reopen for in-person teaching until a vaccine for SARS-CoV-2 is broadly available. After extensive research on this resolution, looking at the amounts of costs and benefits, it is clear to me that the con is a far superior case, the pro has a far superior case. Furthermore, my team and I have decided that the winner of this debate should be decided using the cost-benefit analysis method, meaning that the team that provides a greater balance of benefits versus cost should be awarded the win. My first contention is health. Step 1A, people's lives. Going to school without a vaccine will result in the loss of life of many people. Students and teachers will be at risk. According to the CDC, children can get multi-system inflammatory syndrome, a lethal condition from COVID-19, which means any one of the 74 million students in the US can get this condition and die. Also, the Kaiser Family Foundation states that 1 in 4 teachers are at risk of getting a severe case of COVID-19. 19% of teachers are over the age of 55, meaning they are susceptible to the virus. Not only that, but it is near impossible to make sure that all students are following safety guidelines. Subpoint B, community spread. When people go to school, they may get the virus and end up spreading it to other more vulnerable groups. The CDC states that 35% of all COVID-19 cases are asymptomatic, meaning that the people can have the virus with no symptoms and still pass it on. This means that students and teachers can contract COVID-19 and end up passing it on to their parents, neighbors, or the elderly. This would result in an exponential rise in cases and fatalities. The number of cases and deaths has already risen to 4.6 million cases and 154,000 deaths as of August 3rd. And if schools also reopened, the number of cases and deaths would skyrocket to insane amounts. Subpoint C, containment. If schools reopen and use in-person teaching, the amount of cases will rise so much that any hope of containment of this virus will be impossible. Already with businesses opening, cases have exploded in the US. According to the CDC, on June 13th, the weekly cases in the US was 20,000. And a month later, cases was 58,000, which is nearly triple what it was the day before. Imagine if schools open as well. Thousands of more people would die. Hospitals would overfill. The economy, which has taken such a hit, will tank even further. We would be in a horrible state. Subpoint D, school safety. Even if you take safety precautions and go to school before a vaccine during this pandemic, it is still not enough. According to the CDC, COVID-19 spreads through small respiratory droplets. All it takes is one to enter the body and it's over. Social distancing can be effective, but it's nearly impossible to maintain 6 feet in enclosed spaces. Furthermore, the WHO has not ruled out the possibility that the virus is airborne, meaning that it could spread through ventilation systems. One person could infect an entire school. The cons method not only leads to more loss of life, but it's not even efficient and has little benefit and only cons, whereas the pros method utilizing online learning has multiple benefits, such as saving millions of lives, helping the economy, and curbing the rampant virus. My second contention is cost. Step 1, a protective gear. In order to reopen schools during this pandemic, it would require a tremendous amount of tools and equipment. American Association of School Administrators states that including disinfecting staff, safety protocols, as well as PPE, will cost each school district $1.7 million. There are roughly 13,500 school districts in the country. Sub 1B, running schools. To even run a school costs a lot of money that will go towards something that will kill people and can be avoided with online learning. U.S. school districts spend an average of $6 billion on energy every single year. As you can see, if the cons method is followed, so much money will be wasted on something that will tank the economy and destroy lives. Whereas in the pro method, with online learning, this money can be put to good use, such as funding towards a vaccine or helping provide food for the less fortunate. My third contention is productivity. Sub 8, online learning. Online learning has been proven to be more efficient than in-school learning. In a study conducted by Kerry Godwin in 2016, it was found that students who learn at their own pace retain more information than if they were to learn in large chunks. Online learning allows students to learn at their own pace, enhancing their academic success. In 2012, there was a study conducted by Mary Yang at USC and MIT. This study shows that people's minds default state is needing to take breaks to better process the world. Pro's method engenders efficient learning. In conclusion, my contentions show that the resolution schools should not be open for in-person teaching until a vaccine for SARS-CoV-2 has a prodigious amount of benefits, including, but not limited to, millions of lives saved, economy saved, millions of dollars worth of money saved, and an efficient form of learning. The pro has far more benefits than the con. For these reasons, we implore you to support the pro.
All right, so now we have 4 minutes on the clock for our second constructive delivered by Sharon and Sunny on the con. When you're ready.
Judges ready? Opponents ready? I will begin my time now. There is a Chinese proverb that says, learning is like rowing upstream, and not to advance is to drop back. Today, I will be debating on the content of the resolution. U.S. public schools should not reopen for in-person teaching until a vaccine for SARS-CoV-2 is broadly available. This debate should be viewed through the lens of a cost-benefit analysis framework, meaning that the team that provides a greater balance of benefits versus costs or harms should be awarded the win. My first intention is lower learning quality. Subpoint A, learning loss. In Exhibit 3 of a recent article from McKinsey & Company, NWEA, a service that measures student achievement in 9,500 schools across the U.S., presents statistics for the likelihood of learning loss in 3 possible scenarios. It showed that 3 to 4 months of learning would be lost in an average remote learning classroom, 7 to 11 months lost in a low-quality remote classroom, and 12 to 14 months with no instruction. Subpoint B, online cheating. According to a 2010 study from Marshall University, 5.483% of the students in the study have cheated on an online course, whereas only 1.967% have cheated in a live class. This matters because the quality of the instruction is a massive factor in the amount of learning that the student actually gets. And if we do remote learning, a great amount of learning will likely be lost. And in the future, that lack of information and life skills will bite back at everyone. We also cannot allow students to cheat online, and live classes will ensure that there is less cheating, thus allowing for countless benefits to occur, including higher progress in school, less stress, and better morality. Overall, physical classes have countless long-term benefits that could change the course of a student's education. My second contention is preventing transmission. Closing schools is scientifically proven to not be a big contributor to the broad umbrella of social distancing. A study from PubMed.gov states that data from the SARS outbreak in mainland China, Hong Kong, and Singapore suggests that school closures did not contribute to the control of the epidemic. Recent modeling studies of COVID-19 predict that school closures alone will only prevent 2 to 4% deaths, much less than other social distancing interventions. A study conducted by Harvard stated that kids' symptoms of the disease were generally less severe when compared to adults, with only 0.2% of them developing critical symptoms and conditions. This matters because one of the main concerns of parents letting students back to school is the concern for their child's safety, and now I approve that there are little to no safety costs when allowing children to return to school. My third and final contention is at-home risks. If we were all to stay home, children and teens who don't have trustworthy parents or are out on the streets could suffer from abuse. Subpoint A, child abuse. According to a past study from PubMed.gov, compared to their non-abused counterparts, abused subjects demonstrated significant impairments in functioning, depressive symptomology, anxiety, psychiatric disorders, emotional behavioral problems, and sadly, suicidal ideation and attempts are more likely to occur when a child is abused. The number of domestically abused children has grown to a whopping 700,000 in 2018, though mostly likely this number is underreported. Plus, according to the Fort Worth Star-Telegram, teachers and educational staff are #1 when it comes to reporting abusive cases, making up more than 20% of all the reports. With a stricter stay-at-home guideline, abusive parents or adults have much higher chances of hurting a child without the help of friends, teachers, or counselors. Subpoint B, lack of resources. There are a total of 2.5 million children that are homeless. 1.5 million of these children still go to school. Out on the streets trying to do schoolwork without any steady internet, without any face coverings to protect themselves, they could get hurt in the worst ways. This is important because children who experience child abuse are 9 times more likely to be involved in criminal activity. If children stay at home with more and more possibilities of being abused or neglected, our future will be full of criminals, drug abusers, and more. Homeless children are the same, out on the streets with no steady internet, malnourished, and with unsteady parents. These kids will become the adults of the future. And with these increased rates of abuse, our future will be full of untrustworthy and corrupt adults. There are no short-term or long-term benefits that come with child abuse and lack of resources, and many heavy costs will forever outweigh the benefits of an online school. It's going to be a long time before the vaccine is still developed and widely available. And in the meantime, we should make sure that the students of this generation are still well-informed and are still learning. Online schools aren't as good as in-person schooling because learning quality is lower, closing schools is not a big contributor to this, and finally, there are countless at-home risks. Thank you.
All right. So now we're entering a 1-minute period of prep time for our time. Now we're going to enter our first cross-examination period. We've got 2 minutes on the clock, apologize. First cross-examination will be conducted by Aahyan, Dhruv, and Neil on the pro. 2 minutes when you're ready.
Judges ready? Opponents ready? Would you please repeat your third contention?
Our third contention was at-home risk, which includes abuse and lack of resources for homeless child and those without internet.
Also, how can you enforce that all students are wearing masks and following all safety precautions at all times?
Well, first of all, at this point, since we've been under quarantine for several months already, kids are aware of the new dangers and the virus at hand, which means that we are more aware of the risk, and there will be countless more protocols and procedures to be followed.
What about younger children, such as kindergartners or first graders?
Well, we've been under quarantine for almost 6 months. I'm sure the kindergartners at this point will know about the dangers and the virus risk.
Yes, but they're children. All it takes is one simple take off your mask and the entire school is infected, and everyone.
So there's still countless other procedures in place, such as disinfectants, social distancing. So even if one takes it off, while the risk does get a little bit higher, there are a lot of other protocols in place to prevent it.
Okay. Why endanger the future of humanity and gamble with human lives when we could just move online? A simple and easy solution.
Well, first of all, online in several cases is much less effective and more distracting. So students will not be receiving the proper education. And in several cases, the future is also very important.
Are you also aware that teachers are more susceptible to the virus than children, and that 19% of teachers are over the age of 55 and are very vulnerable to the virus?
Again, I have showed through a study done by Nature Medicine that kids do not carry the disease very easily, as only 1% of the students tested were even proven to have the virus. With countless other safety measures installed, there's a very, very low chance of infection for the teachers.
However, it's asymptomatic. You won't know that the children have the virus unless they are tested, and that would take lots of time, which would take away from school time.
I've already mentioned earlier that the study tested out of 745 kids, only 1% actually had a virus, which means they should I continue on?
No, I think we'll go into the second cross-examination. Got 2 minutes on the clock for Sharon and Sunny to deliver cross-examination when you're ready.
Judges ready? Opponents ready? I'm beginning my time now. Sitting in front of a screen all day can lead to a sedentary lifestyle, meaning more obese kids and cardiovascular deaths, along with constant exposure to blue light. Cardiovascular diseases are the #1 cause of death in the USA, with more than 647,000 deaths a year, far exceeding the count of coronavirus. What is your response to that?
Online learning, you can have physical classes. For example, physical teachers can teach workout routines from their screens, reducing this risk.
Many kids rely on school as a safe place from abusive families, neglect, violence, and such. Teachers are #1 in filing the most reports for possible abusive situations for children. What is your response to this?
There are multiple agencies that deal with abuse. For example, when all children have computers, because they're doing online learning, they can use their computers to communicate to outside agencies and third-party corporations to receive help.
Online learning has a very distracting environment, including on-device applications like YouTube or other distracting websites, meaning a decline in productivity and education quality. What is your response to this?
Schools can provide school-issued computers which are locked and prevent any other sites from being opened, other than the ones that are required for school.
Okay. According to a poll by sciencemag.org, as few as 50% of the people in the United States are actually committed to receiving a vaccine when it comes out. According to Johns Hopkins, 70 to 90% of the population needs to be vaccinated to achieve herd immunity. How do you respond to the fact that many people are not going to get the vaccine when it becomes available?
See, once again, it's a problem of education. These people are not educated, and they do not know the use and the benefits of a vaccine. So if we do online learning, it'll be a broader audience, more education, and it will result in less loss of life.
According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, 64% of families have both families working full-time jobs. How do you propose for families with both working parents to take care and teach of their children if they do not go to school?
All it takes is for a parent to log into their computer, and then once the student is sitting in front, teachers can communicate to the students and help them out.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, so now we're going to go into a period of 2 minutes for prep time for rebuttal. Time to enter our first rebuttal, delivered by our friends on the Pro. Got 4 minutes on the clock. When you're ready.
Judges ready? Opponents ready? First, I'd like to address the framework. The cost-benefit analysis method is a superior weighing method compared to, actually the cost-benefit, we agreed to use the cost-benefit analysis method during this debate. Next, I'd like to rebut my opponent's case. My opponent was concerned with domestic abuse during my opponent was concerned with domestic abuse during the cross-checks. However, many agencies can stop this, as with all the money we save from the supplies and the cost of actually opening schools, which is nearly $6 billion on energy alone, we can use this to fund agencies to help these kinds of children. Next, I'd like to go over my opponent's case. Their first contention was learning loss. They said that there was going to be a lot of online cheating, but we can have eye trackers and monitors. And we can have teachers monitoring to make sure that they don't look at anything else, and we can have school computers that block all other sites. Also, online learning is proven to have 5 times more likely memory retention, which means it is more efficient. Furthermore, schools have softwares to prevent students from opening up other tabs. Contention 2 is preventing transmission. They said that there's some students show symptoms that are little to nothing. This only helps our case. This means that there are more asymptomatic cases, making transmission very easy. One student can infect an entire community, and that could lead to entire city, entire state. This is a very dangerous thing, which is why we should keep kids home, if anything. Their third contention is homers. Their first point was child abuse. They said that the students who suffer child abuse have more depression and suicidal ideation. But we can have online counselors to assist these students, and we can all be done, and we can do this with all the saved money. And next, you said the homeless. You said that they were and then you said they were you said that we didn't account for them. But with all the money we save, if we buy $200, if we buy 200 laptops for every student, it would be $740,000, which is way under the budget. Next, I'd like to go over my case. Our first contention of health, some point A, people's lives. All students get multi-system inflammatory syndrome from COVID-19, which is lethal. That puts the lives of 74 million students on the line. 1 in 4 teachers are at high risk of catching COVID-19, and 19% in the high-risk area. The subpoint B is community spread. Over 1/3 of cases are asymptomatic, putting people they come in contact with at extreme risk of getting it. Subpoint C, containment. Cases nearly tripled in 30 days, June 13th to July 15th. Subpoint D, school safety. It's nearly impossible to social distance in rooms, and the rule is not ruled out the chances it's airborne, and it's possible ventilation can spread it. This means one person infected can infect an entire school. Our second contention is cost. Subpoint A, protective gear. In order to get all the cleaning supplies and make sure everything is disinfected, it costs $1.7 million per school district, and there are roughly 13.5 thousand school districts in the USA. There's also a lot of money involved in just running a school. Just for energy alone, districts spend an average of $6 billion on energy. This money can be saved and put to better use for students. Calculating this, it's nearly $102 billion, which can be used to put to better use, such as stopping domestic violence, providing food for children, getting PCs, and overall just stopping the spread of COVID. Next, our third contention is productivity. Our subpoint A, online learning. Online learning is proven more efficient and allows students to learn at their own pace. In our case, I provided multiple clear, real-world benefits to the resolution at hand, such as saving the lives of students, teachers, and ultimately the country itself. If we follow the pros and furthermore, if we would save almost $104 billion on protective gear and running schools if we follow the pros method. This money could be put to better use, such as buying PCs for less fortunate students and providing meals to those who need them. Students were also found to work more efficiently with online learning. We could have all this with the minor setback of kids not being as engaged as they were in school. But with monitors, it's not a problem. But on the other hand, the con is risk the lives of thousands of students, risk the future of humanity, with the only upside being the possibility of learning how to deal with a pandemic later while staying in prison. But however, if we master online learning, we could make a seamless switch in case of a future pandemic. After analyzing both sides using the cost-benefit analysis method, we see that pro benefits far outweigh the cons. This is why we urge a pro ballot.
All right, so now we have 4 minutes on the clock for the rebuttal delivered by Sharon and Sunny on the con. When you're ready.
Judges ready? Opponents ready? I'm beginning my time now. So for today's rebuttal, I'll be first going over the framework, and then I'll recap over our contentions. Next, I'll refute the opposing side's contentions and points, and lastly, I'll weigh both sides' evidence and impacts. Once again, this debate should be decided using a cost-benefit analysis framework, meaning that the side that has the greatest balance of benefits versus cost or harm should be awarded the win. So to recap real quick, our first contention is a lower learning quality, our second contention is a low transmission rate, and our third contention is at-home risk. In my opponent's first contention, they said that physical schooling opens the possibility of disease spread and increased mortality rate. But I would like to mention once again that the infection attack rate, or the amount of people exposed to the virus over the amount that actually got it, of reopening schools is a rather low 1.3% in students. Also, several cleaning machine measures will be put in place to ensure that all surfaces are clean and ventilation is increased, once more reducing the amount of virus spread. In addition to that, students who still don't feel safe and are okay with jeopardizing their own education can easily stay home, as absence among the student body is natural. In their subpoint B, the pro side show concern for the teachers. Of course, teachers are naturally adults and it has a slightly higher risk. However, first off, I would mention once again that kids do not easily get infected or transfer the virus easily. And since other teachers stay in their own classroom most of the time, it should not be a large concern. However, there are still older teachers who take time off due to the weaker immunity. But I would point out that once again, that there are countless protocols in place to prevent the virus from spreading. As for containment, other countries such as China and Korea took the same measures and their cases have already slowed drastically, meaning that they do indeed work. With these rules in place, teachers and students can rest assured that their safety is not compromised. As for the subpoint on school safety, I find it untrue that it is impossible to have to social distance in school. The student to teacher ratio will be significantly lowered, and also there'll be many signages around the school to encourage social distancing, and also many more disinfectant measures that will be put in place. In my opponent's second contention, they talked about the financial cost of reopening schools. I would like to point out that these schools are funded by our parents' an inevitable local property tax, meaning that we will have to end up having to pay the government anyways. A certain percentage of your property taxes will go towards the school regardless of the government's decisions due to government protocols. In their second contention, subpoint A, they stated that protective gear could also cost a lot of money, but if we want to ensure the success of our future generation, we will put this investment in order to further protect our students, their teachers, parents, and such. Online schooling will only cause us to waste a lot of money because of the lack of learning quality in the educational experience. People will have to pay the same amount no matter what, so we might as well get the most benefits out of it. Not allowing students to go back to school will lead to inadequate education, meaning more employed and low-wage workers in the future. You could think of it as an investment. By spending more money on reopening schools now, you're guaranteeing a much more successful and bright future for everyone. In my opponent's third contention, they stated that online learning platforms allow students to work at their own pace. This is a very minor benefit that will not be able to outshine the cost of online learning. The cost of online learning as well. Online learning brings up the possibilities of online distractions on computer games or applications, such as YouTube. This will distract the amount of energy put towards actual learning. Physical classes have the combined power of discipline, live demonstrations, engaging hands-on activities, and collaboration among peers to maximize the amount of knowledge a student will retain. In our case, we provided clear benefits and show that there will be only risk if we follow the opposing side. By doing online school, you will not only decrease the learning quality, take away opportunity from disadvantaged families and such, the efforts are also not mounting up to anything at all, as the virus barely transfers between schools and children regardless. Con side promotes a possible dangerous future world and can only cause more deaths. Thank you.
Great, so now we're going to go into a period of prep time of 2 minutes. All right, so now we have 3 minutes on the clock for our first summary speech delivered by Aahyan, Dhruv, and Neil. Got 3 minutes when you're ready.
Judges ready. Opponents ready. At the beginning of this debate, we discussed that this debate. Excuse me, my earbud fell out. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. At the beginning of this debate, we discussed that this debate should be decided with the cost-benefit analysis method in mind. In this final speech, I'll highlight exactly how the pros provided a superior number of benefits and less cost for the resolution. U.S. public schools should not reopen for in-person teaching until a vaccine for SARS-CoV-2 is broadly available versus the con. Before we get to some impacts, here's a recap of our contentions. Our first contention is health, so point A, people's lives, sub point B, community spread, sub point C, containment. Our second contention is cost, sub point A, protected years, sub point B, running schools. Our third contention is productivity, sub point A, online learning. So some impacts. The magnitude and scope. By reopening schools, the con is putting the lives of millions on the line directly through students and teachers and indirectly via community spread. People are already dying by the thousands. The con's method gambles with lives and only exacerbates the problem. Irreversibility. If this happens, the entire country will fall victim to this virus, and we will have to dig ourselves out of a hole that is extremely difficult to get out of. Time frame. If the con's method is followed, the effect on the economy would be immediate, and the effects of the pandemic will take years to recover from. So voters. Voter 1. Our opponent says that kids can stay home and do online learning. Therefore, they are supporting our case. Voter 2. Our opponent does not care for all students, stating that those who value their lives should not even learn. This is flawed logic. They value education over life, but if you die, your education will not help you. Voter 3. Our opponent takes a basis from other countries like China, where they are already at a decreasing rate due to the virus starting to be eradicated from those countries. They are only at this point because of strict lockdown measures and shutting down schools and businesses. Voter 4. They state that increasing learning and retention by 5 times is only a minor benefit, which in fact it is a very major benefit. Voter 5. My opponent states that there's a low transmission rate between students. However, the evidence is based on a minuscule study of 745 students, meaning that it has a large margin of error. Voter 6. The opponent has no method to enforce safe practices at school. Students can take off their masks with no consequences. Voter 7. Our opponent states that applications like YouTube can still be used, although we have stated repeatedly that there are ways to disable this feature. Finally, voter 8. Pro met the judging criterion the best. At the beginning of this debate, we stated that the winner of the debate should be decided using the cost-benefit analysis method, meaning that the team that provides the greater balance of costs versus benefits should be awarded the win. We proved that the pros method had far more benefits and less costs than the con, ranging from lives saved, economy improved, money saved, as well as a more efficient form of learning. The con is willing to gamble with humans' lives, which is unacceptable. The pro simply has a superior case. For these reasons, we urge a pro bout. Thank you.
All right. We have 3 minutes on the clock for our final speech of the tournament. Sharon and Sunny delivering their summary for the con. When you're ready. 3 minutes.
Judges ready? Opponents ready? I would like to state that once again, this debate should be decided using a cost-benefit analysis framework, meaning that the side that provides a greater balance of benefits versus costs or harms should be awarded the win. Now, before we look into some impacts, I would like to quickly recap my contentions. My first contention was learning quality. My second contention was the spread of disease. My third and final contention is at-home risks. Subpoint A, child abuse, and subpoint B, lack of resources. Impact-wise, my opponent has brought in some weakling impacts that will not take place immediately and will not affect everyone, only the virus-vulnerable young students and older teachers. My impacts, on the other hand, are more immediate and deep set, and even a future full of criminals could be a possible result. We have continuously proved that if we allow students to go back to school, we will be able to bring in new educational opportunities, possibilities of a brighter future than pros, and even gain learning benefits along the way. My opponent only brought in a couple of smaller and less immediate impacts, such as the minor financial cost of cleaning supplies, but that will only have a minor effect on our current financial situation. In either way, if we do not adopt their policies, we will still be able to function as a society, and it will still get better in the future. Now, allow me to list out the reasons why Con has won this debate. Voter 1. Pro has provided irrelevant occasions and unlikely scenarios that will only affect students and teachers, and as in this situation, we must take everyone into consideration. We were actually able to provide clear benefits and evidence-based scenarios and predictions. Voter 2. Pro has only provided short-term benefits, for example, saving minimal money on cleaning supplies, whereas we have provided lots of clear and strong long-term benefits, including a healthy future and long-term game-changing educational benefits, such as no learning loss, etc. Voter 3. My opponent has only mentioned specific circumstances where their impacts would be applicable. For example, they made an assumption about how it would be impossible to social distance, but we have taken into consideration a lot of perspective that a specific percentage of the money that we have mentioned before will go to the school no matter the circumstance, and has not considered that their options could lead to a sedentary lifestyle, which in the end will cause more deaths, going against their own policy. Voter 4. Pro has provided tedious and unreasonable minor solutions to our life-changing problems. For example, in response to the lack of resources subpoint, they talked about providing school-issued computers to ensure that students do not get distracted. But if anything, it brings up more issues with the cleaning history of those computers, the money for the computers, etc. And finally, voter 5. Con had best met the judging criteria. At the beginning of the debate, we decided that the winner should be the side that presented the most benefits and the least costs or harms. We have used recent compelling evidence and data and have analyzed the information to predict the weight of the impacts we have brought into the game. And we were able to show the clear, massive amount of benefits and the minimal amounts of costs or harms. Clearly, if we allow students to go back to school, we can increase learning quality and ensure a healthy future. For these reasons, you can confidently cast your ballot in the direction of Con.
So where we're going from here, we're going to have our judges deliberate a little bit. They're working on their RFD forms. They're going to, by the way, if you haven't gotten my messages, chat me the winners, and we will figure out who the ultimate winner of the round is. So it could take up to 15 minutes. You guys don't have to do it right away, no pressure. But everybody else can stay in this room. And wait for the results. We have a winner. Folks want to turn their cameras on, get ready for the big announcement. Alrighty, everybody. Well, congratulations on coming so far in this tournament. It has been so much fun to run this for the last several hours at this point. I'm pleased to announce that on a 2-1 decision, meaning that 2 judges voted one way and another judge voted the other, the winners of this tournament are Aahyan, Dhruv, and Neil. Congratulations. And our runner-ups, our finalists, Sharon and Sunny, congratulations as well for making it all the way to the finals and debating so well. I'm currently in a group chat of all the judges who I arranged to judge for this tournament, and they are so impressed by everybody who has debated, especially in this particular round. I have judges who are in the group chat rooting for one team or another. So I'm sure the judges who are in this will enjoy seeing that after they're logged off this call. Julie, is there anything you'd like to add here?
I just want to again congratulate everyone for participating, and super congratulations to all of our finalists. I'm really proud of how everyone did. We'll be starting up again